This is Keith Helwig from Cops Corrections Videos. If you like my videos, please subscribe. I'd like to address a question that was asked on a couple of different law enforcement forums in the past week or two. And that question is it ever okay to say no to a supervisor? Now, as someone who worked as a supervisor, as a lieutenant on a sheriff's department, and a captain for the Department of Corrections, it kind of is a two-edged sword. Is it ever okay to say no to your supervisor? No supervisor worth their salt, no decent supervisor, is going to ask you to do anything which is illegal, immoral, or violates policy to the extent that it jeopardizes the security of the institution or the safety of an individual. Is it okay to say no to a supervisor? If a supervisor asks you to do something which is immoral, illegal, which jeopardizes yourself or another individual, I definitely say yes, it is okay to say no. You know, like I said, it's a double-edged sword. Too many supervisors get into the position and they think because they have 2 gold bars on their collar, or 1 gold bar on their collar, or 3 stripes on their sleeve, that what they say is the absolute final word. It's not. I know in the 36 years that I worked in corrections and in the 23 years I've worked in police as a police officer, there have been numerous times where I've been in situations where, to be honest with you, I've had to ask my staff to violate policy. Now, I never did so when it would jeopardize an individual or would threaten the security of the institution or put anybody in harm. Just the opposite. I did so to avoid jeopardizing the institution's security or placing other people in harm. Now, the staff that worked under me knew that I had their back. Of course, there's going to be some who would disagree with that, which is absolutely normal. But for the most part, they knew I had their back. They knew that if I asked them to do something, I was asking them to do it because of my knowledge, because of my experience, and because it was what was best. They also knew that if there was going to be any discipline as a result of my decision, that I was going to stand up and I was going to take that discipline. I wasn't going to put it on anybody else. Now, you know your supervisors. You know good ones, you know bad ones. You know the ones that are going to get into their egos because you don't listen to every word they say, you don't follow every exact order that they say, particularly if it violates policy. It's a judgment call to say no to a supervisor. When you say no to that supervisor, are you doing so because you're stubborn? Never say no to a supervisor if they're telling you to do something that's within your job duties to do so. However, if that supervisor is telling you to do something which creates a violation, a risk of harm to yourself, a risk to the security of the institution, you have every right to say no. Now, in doing so, you have to realize that that supervisor is probably going to be getting into their ego a little bit. There's nothing wrong with an officer override. If you're in a situation and the captain says, do this, and you say, you know, Captain, I don't know if that's a good idea. Maybe he's going to tell you to, you know, keep your opinion to yourself and do what he says. Well, that's the time when you have to say no. Maybe you're going to face insubordination charges. That's always a possibility. That's why it's important that if you do say no, document it. Document the incident, document what happened, document who was there, what happened, when it happened, where it happened. Get as much down as you can, so if you're called on the carpet about it, you can justify your position. There is no justification for saying no to not doing your job. If something's in your post orders and you're supposed to do it, do it. If you're refusing to do that, that's insubordination. It's not insubordination by refusing to do something which is illegal, immoral, or violates policy to the extent that it creates a risk to the security of the institution or others. You can say no to a supervisor. Just be careful when you do so. Until next time, this is Keith Helwig from Cops Corrections. Stay safe and watch your back.